Okay, right. We're dealing here with SP106 epoxy resin. Epoxy resin is a plastic and consists of the resin body itself and a hardener. You have to have the correct proportion of hardener to resin body to produce the plastic, which is why they're delivered in pumps. Apart from the fact that it makes it a whole lot less messy to operate, it gives you a precise mix ratio, and that's the critical thing about epoxy. The mix ratio between the hardener and the resin body must be accurate. I'm using a slow hardener here. You can have a fast hardener. The differences are that a fast hardener will allow the epoxy to start curing at lower temperatures, i.e. if you're working during the winter or an outside environment. But because I'm in the workshop here and we're working between 16 and 20 degrees C ambient temperature, a slow hardener gives me ample pot life and allows me to have a workable time. The resin itself won't cure any quicker, it still needs to cure overnight, but it gives me a more reasonable pot life time. If I was using fast hardener, say, in this ambient temperature of 16 to 20 degrees, I would probably only have 20 minutes pot life, if that. Okay, so that's the main difference between slow and fast hardeners. Doesn't make the resin cure any quicker, just allows you to work in different temperatures. Okay, so I'm now going to mix up some a batch of epoxy resin for a process. Okay, I have a cardboard cup, I have a mixing stick, which is critical, and I will be donning rubber gloves. Chemicals in the hardener are quite caustic and horrible. The chemicals in the resin are probably not that pleasant either, so you need to be working in a fairly well ventilated area. Okay, with my particular set of pumps, the volumes are graduated, so 1 pump of hardener to 1 pump of resin. Other systems differ. You need to make sure you get the ratios correct. Okay, so for the next process I'll be doing, I'm going to be approximately using 6 pumps hardener to 6 pumps of resin. When you're pumping large amounts of resin out, it's very easy to lose count. So it might be an idea to have some kind of counting system pre-arranged, and obviously avoid being distracted whilst you're pumping out, because you can forget. Right, once I've got my resin and my hardener together in the pot, you need to intimately contact them, as it were. So stir very thoroughly indeed. A quick stir won't suffice. You need to stir for at least a minute and a half. And if you look into the resin, you can sometimes see the separation between the hardener and the resin body itself. So I always make sure I stir for at least until that appearance is gone, and then I stir it for a bit more. Once you've actually made the two parts come into contact with you, the resin will start to its process of forming a solid material. So its first thing it will do will start producing heat. And along with that, it will start liberating fumes. They're not as, I can't think what the word is, they're not as aromatic as polyester fumes, but they are nonetheless just as horrible. Why you should be working in a well-vented area. Okay, so that's your resin hardener, your resin body, your mix ratios, and how thoroughly you should mix. Okay.